All right, here with Rich Torres, and it's first night of sectional night, and Tuesday night always a lot of fun, especially over at sectional 10, which is where Rich was, and he had the just a single game. Kind of weird, that we're only five-team sectional in some of these 4A fields now, Rich. But you had a good one tonight. Lawrence North, Lawrence Central, the Battle of Lawrence, and LC had been a hot team coming into this week, and sound like they played like it tonight. Ellen does get the victory, though. Tell us how it went down, Rich.
Yeah, happy sectional week, and a Tuesday night, one game at LC. And you're right, LC came in hot and they were looking to avenge that 30-point loss they had earlier in the year. And the game was tied up 33 at halftime and seven ties in this game
Wow.
overall. So, LC came out, had a strategy, and, LN had some turnover issues and some poor shooting in the first half, but they cleaned it up in the second half. Coach Chris Giffen kind of challenged their guys there at halftime in the locker room and said the most poised team in the second half was going to win, and that was the Wildcats. They came off that sectional championship last year, the semi-state run, and they had a nice decisive 12-1 run in the fourth quarter that kind of put it away when they were only up by one and put them up by 12 points. It was kind of an overall team effort. It wasn't really just one guy. They had three guys in double figures. A lot of sharing of the ball. I think they had five dunks in the game, including an alley-oop dunk pass from Xavier Robinson to Kai McCrew that kind of put it away, gave him that 12-point lead, and kind of took the crowd out of it. But it was pretty hype. It was interesting because since it was a 7 o'clock game, the crowd didn't really show up until about late in the first quarter. But that gym was packed. It wasn't near capacity and exactly a sellout, kind of like yours. But it was a good crowd and it was pretty hype. And the rivalry is alive and well, man. No doubt, no doubt.
Well, I know LC from talking to Phil Washington last week. They felt like I covered the 30-point loss they had back in December. They had been playing a lot better here of recent, and kind of their chemistry was just really good by the end of the year. But it looked like tonight, Brendan Miller, I think, had 22 points, right, Rich? And he's a tough matchup. He can shoot. He's an inside guy. Was he able to get going inside or outside, or where did he get a lot of his points?
Yeah, I mean a little bit of both. They were really kind of playing the matchups. Obviously they're cutting inside and they were trying to get to the rim. But when LC was kind of giving them that outside look, they weren't shying away from it. I mean, Kai hit two 3-pointers. I
Wow.
mean, he was outside, looking for that shot, and obviously Brendan, he was kind of all over the place too. It was taking the defense and exploiting where space was allotted. And you can see that confidence and that experience from this LN group kind of came to the forefront in the second half, and they needed it. They needed it big time because LC just was not going away. I mean, every time LN got up by about 6-7 points, LC came right back. So it really there was no breathing room up until that last quarter, and really kind of like Coach Giffen said, the outlet pass from Carnes out to McGrew kind of set that run in motion because he hit a three, and from there it just kind of ballooned for him in that 12-1 run. And the defense too. The defense was solid. I mean, Xavier Robinson had a really nice steal at the top of the key in the first half and runaway transition dunk. They were pressuring. They were pressuring when they had to. But really, it came down to that 7-for-7 fourth quarter field goal shooting from LN that kind of turned the tide, in my opinion.
That's usually a good sign if you can make all your shots. That
Yeah,
usually
right.
bodes well for you.
You can miss the free throws, but if you make 7-for-7 from the field, you're pretty good. Yeah.
I was reading your story quickly, Rich. It's really a team that there's a lot of juniors on this team, but the leader of the team, Xavier Robinson's a senior, and definitely your last quote here is about him wanting to win state. That's his goal, and obviously something he hasn't been able to do. The girls just did it for LN, but the boys still seeking to break through and do that for the first time in a while. But they do have a tough challenge ahead of them next against. I covered one of the Warren Central games that went right down to the wire. That was in the county. LN won that game, but both games have been really close. I know they talked to you a little bit about Warren, but what's kind of the mindset going into Friday for this Wildcats team?
Yeah, obviously they split the games this season with Warren. They both really close, low scoring kind of games for them. Coach Giffen kind of mentioned that. He said the first one they felt like they kind of let that one get away from them. And then they got the revenge, obviously, in County, like you said. And really the mindset is not to overlook anyone, and as far as Robinson, him being a senior, already being the all-time leading scorer in program history, huge marks for him, but he wants that state title, and I asked him too, like you mentioned about the girls winning it this past weekend, and he's like, hey man, we're trying to make history too, so like why not, why not make a run and do it, obviously they got to keep beating these teams they've already faced, again in the postseason, but I mean, these guys got down to semi-state, and they are
Hmm.
young, but they're athletic. They play great defense, and when their shots are on, as we saw in the fourth quarter, I mean, they can kind of hang with anybody. And I don't know. I think in their minds, they're thinking we're out of the top 10 in the rankings. Who people are kind of overlooking us in a way, so why not shock the world and let's make history?
I tell you, Ellen's one of those teams that they're on a short list of teams that can match up with just about anybody. I think, including Fishers, if they play as well as they're capable of playing. I'm not saying they'll beat Fishers or anything, but
Yeah,
they are one of those teams out there that I think personnel wise, if they're healthy, if they're and making their threes, that's a big thing too.
yeah,
But I saw them beat Greenfield handily earlier this year, and Mullen still did what he normally does, but they put on a show that game, and Robinson did lead them in that one, and so they're capable of doing something pretty special. But first things first, they got to beat Warren, and then probably beat North Central, which is on the other side of that bracket with a really good draw on that side. Getting a bye, and then playing Tech, which is very young. So, but still a lot of work to do. But I do like, I like the sell-in team, and getting through tonight, I think should give them a boost of confidence, certainly against an LC team that was playing really well.
yeah. I agree. I mean, that was kind of the message after the game. It was like this was a test. Can we win this game against our rival first round? Everyone else got the bye. Let's get in the semifinals and see what happens. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, obviously Fishers is the top dog, and they are until somebody beats them. But yeah, when you look at the other teams below in the area, I like LN too. I love their athleticism. I love their composure. Tonight it really was in the spotlight, that composure, because they could have easily folded. I mean, it's back and forth. Your rival on their home court, and they kind of withstood it. So this next one, yeah, Warren Central, that's another big one. The rubber match, so to speak, I guess, because it's all tied up. And then from there, I think the confidence just keeps building. But yeah, I mean, with Robinson at the forefront, this team's always got a shot.
That will be a great game. Warren has there's some Ellen ties on that Warren team, and I know from covering that game in the county, a lot of familiarity, a lot of little talking on the court, and I'm sure that'll be the case again on Friday. Sectional 10 is always, it's always fun. It's always rivalry teams and teams who know each other really well, and I'm sure that'll be the case on Friday when those teams meet up. But Rich, appreciate you coming on and joining me from your car, man.
Yeah, yeah, I got some lighting in here, so it's just my head, pretty much. I
Hey,
appreciate it, Kyle. Yep,
you bet, man. Thanks for coming on here.
no problem. Take care.
Well, thanks, Rich, for joining us on here talking about Sectional 10. Wanted to talk a little bit about my sectional and then go through some of the storylines from tonight's first night of the sectional tournament, and kind of look ahead a little bit to tomorrow as well. Quickly here, though, because I think they're going to start the blowers here at Carmel High School. It's about at 11 o'clock here, so they're getting things cleaned up. And first off, I mean, what a great night. I mean, Carmel, they did a great job hosting this thing, as they always do. And man, the crowd, unbelievable for a first night of a sectional. I mean, you couldn't, it was sold out, not a ticket to be had. And the crowd was awesome. I mean, it was everything you expect it to be, but until you're there, I never get tired of this. Covering this week, this sectional week is always so much fun. The regular season can get a little bit, it's not, boring necessarily, but you do kind of get, just it is some of the same, and you kind of ready once the sectional draw comes, you're kind of ready for that to happen, and you wish you could be at more games, and but man, this was the place to be certainly tonight. And the second game, I'll start with that one because number 1 Fishers, number 3 Westfield. This was the game everybody was sort of anticipating tonight. The first game, Noblesville beat Carmel, pulled away. It was not a 19-point game is what it ended up. It wasn't really played that way at all. It was a 4-point game going into the fourth quarter. Noblesville pulled away, won 51-32. But the second game, that was the one. You could just feel the energy. I was down the hallway talking to Scott McClellan and Justin Curry from Noblesville after their game, and you could just feel the energy of the crowd as I got back up here to cover the game just as the starting lineups were being announced. And, man, the place was hopping. And then right away, I thought Westfield really came out and, the first game they played each other, Westfield was ahead by 15 points in the second half, and Fishers had to battle back. So the Fishers had their attention. And even in this game tonight, again, Drew Hafner, their junior, he's a phenomenal player. He should be a junior all-star in my opinion. He came out and played really well from the get-go, hit a couple long threes, and you can tell he was very confident the rest of the night, basically. But Fishers did, by halftime, they were ahead 26-22. Third quarter, they kind of went on one of their patented runs, got it going, and, an alley-oop from Jason Gardner Jr. to John Anthony Hall, that kind of lit a fire under him a bit. And, it just seemed like they were about to roll, and they were up by 11 at the end of the third, got out to up by 13 there in the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, Westfield turned it on again. And Hafner and Will Harvey both, and Brock Dedamore, kind of all three of those guys got going. And Hafner ends up with 19 points. Dedamore, I believe, I'll get that for you here, ends up with 10. Or no, Malone had 10. I'm sorry, Dedamore had 8. Harvey had 7. So they kind of went with that group mostly, and then Durante Morton as well in that group. But they kept fighting, kept plugging away, got that thing down to 3 points with a minute 1 left. Actually, 2 different times. Harvey got a driving shot off a steal up the left side of the court there. Then Fishers came right back and scored. And then Dedamore scored on Hall and got it back down to 3. And then down by 3, Westfield almost got a steal. I think it was Dedamore got the ball kind of knocked away. Goes right back to Jason Gardner Jr., however. And then Cooper Zachary gets fouled, hits 2 clutch free throws. And then a really big play right in front of the Westfield bench, basically. Everyone kind of is locked up on their guy. Malone was trying to get the ball to Hafner and gets knocked away. And then Nathan Baker dives on the court around midcourt, gets the timeout. Kind of questionable. I don't know if he actually had the possession there, but it was whatever. It ends up in possession of Fishers. It was a hustle play. You get rewarded for a hustle, in my opinion. And, I think he did have it just briefly there anyway. But they get the timeout. And then it's pretty much, Hall gets a alley-oop, or not alley-oop, but a dunk to kind of finish it off. And Fishers wins the game 54-47. I don't even know if I mentioned the final score. 54-47. Fishers wins it, and they will move into the semifinal round against Zionsville on Friday night. That'll be the second game. The first game will be Noblesville and HSC. Like I said, Noblesville kind of, felt like they were a little bit nervous, or, the kind of that first Tuesday night. Sometimes you get the nerves a little bit, and it felt a little bit like that happened to them early in the game. They just weren't making shots. Carmel, of course, playing without Alex Kudo, kept turning the ball over, ends up with 20. The Greyhounds had 20 turnovers tonight. You just can't win games like this with that many turnovers. So Carmel ends up losing by 19. But like I said, it was much closer than that. They got some good things going. Liam Mann inside, he ended up with 10 points, but just not enough offense because of lack of opportunities, basically. They could not, even get shots off a lot of times. And some of them felt unforced. So frustrating night. Ryan Osborne, Carmel coach, said he's just disappointed. They go into the fourth quarter down by 4, and it felt like it was about to be a really good fourth quarter but then Noblesville got it going there a little bit late, and Curry ends up hitting 2 threes in the fourth. He had 24 points. Baron Walker had 15 for the Millers, who, like I said, they'll play HSC on Friday night. That should be a really good game, I think. HSC's been playing well. And Zionsville gave Fishers a game not long ago, lost by 6 points in that one. So two, again, two teams or two games where the teams know each other really well. Obviously, all play in the HCC, so they see each other once a year at least. So that will be, 56-50. Fishers beat Zionsville on February 21st. So basically 2 weeks ago, those teams played each other. And Noblesville and HSC, those teams played each other. That was at the end of January, and that was a 5-point game. So Noblesville won 54-49 the first time those teams met up. So you should have two good games. Zionsville definitely will be an underdog. McGuire had, I think, Garrett Weiniger told me, I think he had 29 points. That sounds right in the last meeting between those two teams. McGuire Mitchell from Zionsville. So that they've got a duo there between him and Drew Snively. Zionsville is a team that they've kind of been a little bit up and down. They're 12-12 on the season, but again, a team that can put up points. And they were able to hold down. They were able to hold down Fishers last time they played them to 56. Not many teams have done that. So, McGuire Mitchell averaging 20.3 on the season, and Drew Snively 12.8. Those two can really score. Fishers has to be able to slow them down, and then probably play a little bit better down the stretch than they did tonight too. They didn't really handle the ball that well at times, or some bad decisions made. But you also credit Westfield, and Shane Sumter said this is one of his favorite teams he's coached throughout his time at Westfield, and it really shows. I really didn't have that high of expectations for that team. I knew they'd be good, but I think they've performed well above probably anybody's expectations going into the season to finish 18-4 and give Fishers a run for their money. Really good season overall for that Westfield team. So some of the other, it sounds like it's really raining like crazy outside right now. But some of the other highlights from the first round of sectional play, looking around tonight, I'm going to start in Class 4A in our area at Sectional 9 at Muncie Central. No real surprises there. Mount Vernon 65-35 over Richmond. Greenfield Central 72-47 over Pendleton Heights. So it'll be Anderson and Mount Vernon on Friday, and Muncie Central, Greenfield Central in the two semifinal games there. You heard from Rich Torres earlier, 65-56. Lawrence North beats LC tonight. So that sets up Warren LN, the second game over there on Friday. Tech and North Central will be the first game in Sectional 10. One of the biggest surprises tonight, Sectional 11, Brownsburg beats Avon 44-40, and Avon ranked number 4 in the state, and just had a great season. They're 20-3 going into that game tonight. So Avon, one of the teams I think and that's a really tough sectional. I mean, we knew Brownsburg and Avon played 2 games already this season, and Brownsburg went right down the wire with them in the Hendricks County tournament, lost by 2 points late in that game. So Brownsburg will play Plainfield in the second game in Section 11 on Friday. The first one will be Pike and Ben Davis. So those look like 2 really good games at Avon on Friday. Section 11 at Decatur. Southport wins 61-52 over Decatur, and Center Grove beats Perry Meridian 50-36. So Southport will move on to play Franklin Central, one of the teams I kind of pegged as a sleeper there, despite their 7-14 record. And Mooresville will play Center Grove. So that should also be a really good game. Mooresville beat Center Grove earlier this season. Sectional 13 at Bloomington South. Bloomington South beat Bloomington North by 21 points, and then and that was it. Terre Haute South will play Terre Haute North on Friday. Bloomington South advances to play Martinsville in Sectional 13. Also, just one game at Sectional 14 at Columbus East tonight. Columbus East 64-41. They advance to play. Columbus East will now play Franklin. So that was a bit of a surprise too. Columbus North had a really good season. Loses to Columbus East in a kind of a blowout game there. So that's a little bit of a surprise in Sectional 14. So Franklin will play Columbus East in that second game. Whiteland and East Central will play in the first game there at Columbus East on Friday. So elsewhere, Jeffersonville rolls over Scottsburg. Floyd Central beats Seymour. That's a surprise, 33-32. So Seymour was a team I thought playing on its home court could be a problem, but they are out already. So that's a surprise as well. LaPorte beat Penn also at Michigan City. That was, I would say, a little bit of a surprise, 52-37 at Michigan City tonight as well in Class 4A. So, yeah, it looks like, other than probably Avon losing, again, that's not a huge, upset necessarily, but Brownsburg winning that one is, to knock out a top 4 team in the state. I mean, that is an eye opener. In Class 3A in Central Indiana, you had Sectional 24 at Newcastle. You had Yorktown beat Jay County. Connorsville with a slight upset over Hamilton Heights. So you'll have Connorsville moving on to play Newcastle on Friday. Delta versus Yorktown in the first game at Newcastle. At Frankfort, Danville beats Frankfort 80-56, and that's where I'll be tomorrow night. Lebanon plays Guerin Catholic in the first game, and then Brebeuf and Crawfordsville in the second game up there. And then already now set for Friday, you'll have Tri-West in Danville. So that should be a really good game as well, looking ahead to Friday there. So Guerin and Brebeuf probably the favorites tomorrow, but Lebanon's had a good season. We'll see how they fare in that Sectional 25 bracket at Frankfort tomorrow. Sectional 26 at Shortridge, Cathedral 91-30 over Bishop Chatard. Cathedral will now play Attucks in one of the huge games on Friday night around the state. That'll be a 6 p.m. game. Purdue Poly will play Shortridge in the second game. That should be a really good game as well. I'm sorry, that was actually tonight, so I haven't seen a score on that just yet. I'll see if I can find that here. Yeah, Shortridge actually wins that one in overtime, 61-57. So figured that'd be a good one, and it definitely was. Washington wins, Indianapolis Washington over Edgewood, 64-56, and then Cascade beats Owen Valley. Cascade hosting that sectional, 63-52 over Owen Valley. So good win at Cascade. Another team I thought could be kind of a sleeper there. That sets up Northview versus Washington on Friday, and Speedway versus Cascade in the second game there. New Pal, Sectional 28, rolls 75-31 over Rushville, and that will set them up in Friday against Beech Grove on one side of the bracket. Tomorrow, again, should be really good. I believe Clark Wade's going to be there, Roncalli and Shelbyville, 6 p.m. at Shelbyville, and then Indian Creek and Greenwood. So should be 2 good games there as well. Let's see if there's any other scores around the state of note. Batesville beats Greensburg tonight, 58-44. Those 2 teams, obviously big rivals over the years. Gibson Southern in overtime beats Jasper, 54-47. That was another good one. Heritage Hills loses to Mount Vernon Posey at Boonville. That may be a slight surprise, 55-46 in that one. So, yeah, it's looking through here. I don't think any other huge surprises tonight. And Norwell beat Mississinawa 51-41 at Belmont. And, yeah, actually Northwood. Wow, Columbia City beats Northwood. I hadn't seen that one. 46-45 over Northwood. So that's a bit of an eye-opener as well. That was the sectional at Garrett, or at Northwood. So big, I'd say that's a pretty significant. We had that on our list of games to watch going into the week. But yeah, Northwood losing is definitely something maybe we didn't see going in. In Class 2A around Central Indiana, you had let's look here. Yeah, Western Boone wins over Delphi, 43-41 at Sectional 37 at North Montgomery. So Western Boone, congrats to them. They'll play Rensselaer Central, possibly another winnable game there. So Western Boone a bit of an eye opener there, and they play Friday night at North Montgomery in that one. Frankton beats Elwood 58-43. Tipton beat, and this is sectional 39 at Frankton. Tipton beats Taylor 41-31. So you'll have Sheridan versus Tipton on Friday. Yeah, that should be a very good game. And LaPel and Frankton, the rivals, going against each other as well. That section will be really good. Sectional 42 at Park Tudor, University 56-46 over Covenant Christian, and Ritter beat Park Tudor 49-44. So we knew that'd be a good game. So now you have Ritter against Riverside on Friday night. That's the second game, and then Monrovia versus University in the first game there at Park Tudor. Crystal House, sectional 43. Triton Central 58-55 over Heritage Christian, and Triton Central will now play Crystal House. We knew that'd be a good matchup there. Any of those three teams, I think, as it played out, had a chance there. And then Eastern Hancock Cecina will be that will be a game tomorrow, Wednesday night, and Indy Legacy will play Irvington Prep in the other game tomorrow there. So Class 2A, let's see, any other real surprises from tonight? I don't think we saw too many big ones. Park Heritage rolls over North Putnam 56-33. And just scrolling through here, I didn't see. Again, I was covering my game, and kind of an important game to keep track of here tonight. So just kind of perusing through. I did see a little bit of the Wapahani. I was kind of watching that online a little bit. Wapahani against Eastbrook was in a little bit of a battle with Blackford, 50-40. We're in command, but Eastbrook gave him a little bit of a game there towards the end of that one. Gary 21st advances easily. So, it looks like mostly the teams we expected to get through, for the most part, did in 2A. In Class 1A, locally, you had Sectional 54 at Clinton Central has some local teams. Frontier beat Clinton Central tonight. That was the only game tonight. You'll have more action tomorrow, including the big Carroll Flora Clinton Prairie game. That should be a really good one in that sectional. Sectional 57, Tinley won tonight, and Liberty Christian rolls. So that one was going on over at Purdue Broad Ripple tonight. Lutheran Metropolitan rolled over Eminence tonight. So you'll have another couple of games. Metropolitan and Greenwood Christian will be the big one in that sectional on Friday night in the semifinal. Sectional 59, Waldron wins in double overtime, beats Southwestern and Shelbyville 56-51, and North Decatur beat Knightstown 50-43. This really is a sectional that I think anybody, pretty much anybody could win. They'll have two more games tomorrow at Edinburgh, and then Waldron will play North Decatur on Friday night in one of the semifinals. The other semifinal will be decided by tomorrow night's games in that one. So, and then looking elsewhere around in 1A, I didn't see too much of note there. I think that from an upset perspective around the state tonight, Bloomfield beat Shakamak barely, 61-58. So that a little bit of surprise there that one was that close. Clay City won, the number one team in the state. Moves on. Looked like kind of a lot of other games that weren't as close. Borden beat Henryville 63-41. And Hauser, they roll at the Milan sectional. So, it looks like not too many surprises there. So, so tomorrow night, there are fewer games tomorrow, obviously. Most of the midweek games are played tonight. And then tomorrow you have some around. Like I said, I'll be at Frankfort for C. Guerin Catholic and Lebanon, and Brebeuf playing against Crawfordsville. So you kind of expect Guerin and Brebeuf to advance, but stranger things have happened for sure, and that's why it's sectional week. That's why we love it. But, again, great crowd here at Carmel tonight. Just a phenomenal atmosphere. John Anthony Hall ends up with 18 points to lead Fishers. Justin Kirby had a good first half offensively, kind of got Fishers going, and he ends up with 10 points. And Jason Gardner Jr. had 13 for Fishers. So kind of a cruel thing that Westfield goes home and turns their stuff in, and on March 4th. I mean, that's a team that's really, really good and would win most sectionals probably around the state, if not all of them, other than this one, potentially. I mean, who knows? You can't, I guess you can't really say that, but certainly they're a team that could beat a lot of people, and they go home at 18-4. And there's always talk like, at least maybe we could put these teams on opposite sides of the bracket or something. I don't know why you can't do that. And I'm lesser a seeding person for basketball than I am for football, but because football is once a week. But even if you kept your sectionals, and sectionals are great, like I said, I love them. But you could still have the same teams at these sectionals and try to match them up better for a Saturday night, like a real bracket. So I don't know. It makes sense to me. I think it makes sense to a lot of people. But kind of beating our head against the wall on that point, I think. But anyway, that's maybe a conversation for another day. But thanks for joining me here. And we have a lot more at IndyStar.com. We'll continue to have more at IndyStar.com throughout the week and the weekend. But enjoy your sectional wherever you're at around the state, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you.